so much for investing in this course. My name is Anthony, and it'd be my pleasure to take you through the content on this program. I guess just by way of introduction to myself first, before we talk about the program and how it works. I'm speaking to you as someone who was that single contributor that moved into their first people management role. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't really have a clue. I didn't really have any training or structure. And like many of us, I kind of made it up as we went along and did okay. But really the topic of people management and getting the best out of people has always fascinated me. And I've been lucky enough over the last 20 years or so to move into a learning and development space where I've had my own experiences of leading teams during that time, but also worked with a whole range of organizations across the UK, Europe and the US, learning how different organizations, large and small, approach people management. So the content really in this program is, yes, there's some theory as you would expect, but it's really all about the practical application and how we use that in the real world. So I'll be able to share with you some example stories, but more than that, I'll be encouraging you to think of your own examples and stories as well. So in terms of the program itself, really you can work through it at your own pace. That's the whole point. So we've got 7 chapters. I'll talk you through those in just a moment. With each chapter, there's an associated workbook and a slide deck to go with it. But within that content, as I mentioned, there are some activities. So you can stop the video at any point you like. You can work on the activity. I'll direct you to the relevant pages and content. And the workbooks themselves are interactive. And by that, I mean that the PDF has spaces in there where you can type your own notes for some of the activities. I've embedded some relevant TED Talks and so on and so forth. You can then recommence the video. I'll give some commentary, my views on how we might tackle certain scenarios and so on and so forth. So it's about working at your own pace. Similarly, you may decide that you just want to play the video all the way through the first time. It really is up to you, but you can watch it as many times as you like. I guess my ask of you is, having made the investment in this course and the time you're putting into it, is try and make sure that you apply the relevant learning to your own scenario, whatever that might actually be. Okay, so in terms of the content then, let's just have a brief walk through what we're going to look at on this program. As I said, we've got 7 chapters lined up, all around this essentials of people management. And the first topic that we are going to look at is measuring the success of a people manager. And by that, as a people manager, what's my role? How does that compare for what my so-called day job is? And crucially, how will that be measured so I know whether I'm doing a half-decent job or not? So we'll start with looking at that. We'll then go on to look at tips for managing teams remotely. So you may be watching this working from home yourself, or you may have some people who come into the office occasionally, or maybe not at all. But as obviously the way we work changes, it's really important that we look at how we manage teams remotely and practically, and I guess look out for some of those triggers for isolation, stress, and so on and so forth. That links in actually to the third topic, which is really all about preparing ourselves to lead others. And the old adage, if we can't manage ourselves, how can we lead others? So we'll look at some prioritization techniques, some time management, and so on. And then that will link nicely into thinking about your people leadership style or management style. So we're going to look at 4 or 5 different modules and work out which of those sit comfortably with you and which one of those are going to be most beneficial. And again, some nice case studies to look at in there as well. That then takes us to coaching or mentoring. And we often hear people say, I'm going to do some coaching and mentoring, as if they're the same thing, when the reality is they're not. So we'll explore the difference between the two and how that differs from training. We're not necessarily saying one is better than the other. It's, as always, it's picking the right tool at the right time. But we are going to focus on coaching, as that's the one area that a lot of us struggle with and find harder to do. Look at the benefits of that. And I've got a really nice little model that I'm going to share with you, which helps you to do that in a very authentic way, so we're not being patronizing and so on. Then we're going to look at some tips for objective setting. And you'll notice the use of the word outcome there. And that's quite deliberate because we want to make sure that we're setting outcomes that people can achieve. So we're going to look at that. And then we'll finish by looking at the change process looking at how we ourselves respond to change, also others that are around us as well, and how we can navigate them through that piece. So those are the 7 modules for this particular program. Again, I would like to thank you for investing in this. Do enjoy it, and as I said, trying to apply as much of it as you possibly can.